This podcast is sponsored by nobody. Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today I will be welcoming Juliet E. Prowse. She is the namesake niece of Juliet Prowse, the legendary dancer, actress, singer who co-starred with Elvis Presley in the 1960 classic film G.I. Blues, celebrating its 65th anniversary. It's my favorite Elvis movie. And Juliet has written a book about her aunt. It's called Born to Dance, The Extraordinary Life of My Aunt. And it's going to be a great talk today. And I've always thought that Juliet Prowse was a very underrated performer, and she did a lot of great stuff in her career. Sadly, she passed away in 1996, and we have a legacy here to preserve, and it's going to be a great conversation. And Juliet works, I believe, in the multimedia business, and she began dancing a little bit as well. And this is going to be a great talk today, calling all the way from South Africa in Cape Town. So, yeah, here is my interview with Juliet E. Prowse. Hey, Juliet, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm fine, thanks. And you?
I am fantastic. I can't tell you what a great honor this is. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Oh, that's a pleasure. Honestly,
Yes,
I've uh, I've I've just been watching some of the Frank Sinatra Elvis Timex show as a little like reminder of
yeah.
of the time the period that my aunt was in. Um, yeah.
That is so wonderful. So let's start with the book here. Born to Dance, The
Yes.
Extraordinary Life of My Aunt. I have always thought your aunt was so underrated as a performer, and I'm glad you wrote a book about her. What made you want to write the book?
It started with a my parents moved, downsized, and Juliet used to send back articles to her mother, which was my grandmother, newspaper articles. So there was this little suitcase full of newspaper clippings. Like the whole thing was stuffed full and programs, and initially it was really me going through them and curious about her time in London as a teenager. She went in the 50s,
Hmm.
and as I waded through, I sort of put them into time periods, not exactly the exact date order because there were quite a lot in the early 60s. I realized that there was a story to tell. And I think that the reason I wanted to tell it was just really that she's my only aunt. I'm named after her,
Right.
and I knew that she was, a fabulous dancer and really loved by a lot of the people that she worked with. And I just felt I'd like to document it and share the story and maybe give her a bit of more lasting legacy than she's maybe had. As more of a dancer and less of a movie star.
I know a lot of people, I don't think, you know, had showed any interest in preserving her legacy before. Did that surprise you?
Um, I, uh, I, I don't know if anyone was as maybe as in touch with the subject matter. My
Hmm.
cousin, her son, he went. He's a father of three, so his life really took where he got incredibly busy.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe a little bit surprised, but I think in a way I'm kind of glad that no one did, so that I could take it on as a project, and I have a very close relationship with her, and and I think when you're telling the story and you know a bit of the um, different sides of it, it's not all good reviews all the time. I wanted to tell the story and shed light on her as a human,
Hmm.
as well as what the reviews said, which were largely, not completely, but largely all very positive about her.
Right. How long did it take to write?
Well, I started actually going through these articles, let's say at the end of 2019, early 2020, and then COVID happened.
Right.
And so there were different waves of it. I mean, so technically, I probably took about 3 years in a way. Um, I kind of lost confidence, and then I got to a stage where I thought I didn't want to make up anything about my aunt. I felt uncomfortable with that, so I didn't want to like.
Of
It was
course.
my first book, and I didn't want
Hmm.
to take a poetic license. And so I finally flew to the US to come and chat to people in June of 2022.
Hmm.
So um, that was actually, that trip made a huge difference. And I partly had to, well, I basically had to not completely scrap the book and rewrite it because I'd done quite a lot of research. But besides having input from, I basically chatted to people in New York, LA, and Vegas. But in Vegas, I'd read about this and I thought we lost this, but actually there was a box of 640 letters in her last boyfriend's garage in Vegas.
Hmm.
But I don't know why he didn't tell anyone that he had them. But I then only got those in June, July of 2022, and these were Juliet's letters to her mother. And so I had then this a much better story because I had how she felt about Sinatra and Elvis and different things that happened, and so I had to kind of rewrite and put her words in and tell the story from a different angle.
Interesting. Yeah.
Uh,
Did you grow up close with her?
so yes, yes. So her only brother is my father,
Hmm.
and her mother, we live next door to my grandmother, so Juliet's mother and brother live next door to each other in South Africa. So she was close with them and would fly back fairly frequently to come on holiday. And I would say she was here from the US every second year, maybe. Yeah, but let's say maybe even slightly more frequently when she had her son. So then his only, well, not his only cousins, but his South
Hmm.
African cousins were here. So she would come on holiday, and we would have a lot of fun. She was very, she was a very, I don't know how you know her or perceive her, but she was actually quite a comedic woman, or very
Hmm.
comedic actually.
Yeah.
And as an aunt, she was a lot of fun. She'd be funny, and we'd play cards and do things,
Oh.
and then so that was, let's say, as children and teenagers, and then I did inherit some of her athletic ability, not her dancing ability.
Hmm.
But I got a running scholarship from the University of Nebraska, so I came to the US in the 80s and early 90s. And so the first place I stopped was I flew to LA and I spent 2 weeks with her. And so all those university holidays, if I wasn't in South Africa, I was with Juliet's at Juliet's house in Los Angeles. So yes, I got to know her. But you think, as it's an aunt niece relationship. So when I read her letters, I really got to know her
Hmm.
in as a 20-year-old, as opposed to me only really getting to know her as, let's say, a 40, 50-year-old. Uh,
Yeah.
meaning me growing up so I can experience her as an adult.
What did you learn
Yeah.
that really surprised you?
I think um, so. Obviously, to make it and do well in the entertainment industry, I think you have to have a lot of uh, chutzpah, a lot of like guts about you.
Hmm.
But I think I didn't realize how much she had. So, in the beginning of her career, or her career, let's say in the US, she'd had a 20th Century Fox contract,
Right.
and she was getting frustrated with them because they weren't really using her in movies, and she wanted to do more stage work, and they didn't really see the point of that because they're a film studio.
Hmm.
So she actually broke her contract with 20th Century Fox, and was always sort of ready for the fight in a way. She had a manager, and then basically, well, she was unhappy with her manager as well, so she changed managers and then sued 20th Century Fox because they didn't always give her the money that she was. So she was on for example, the Perry Como show, and her slot was $10,000 in 1960, but
Right.
they wanted to take all the money and not give it to her because she was on contract with them.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end of that day, they ended up suing her, wanted to deport her because she was still a South African then. So she started her own company at about 25 because they were threatening to deport her, which actually it ended up um, financially being a very good decision to be doing to having her own company at that stage of her career.
Mm-hmm. And Can Can was the first movie that she made for 20th Century Fox, and that's when the romance with Frank Sinatra ensues.
Yes, yes. So there's a scene in it which actually is there is a video clip of it on YouTube, which basically he is singing to Juliet's character, but he's actually in love with Shirley MacLaine's character.
Right.
And at the end of it, he is not meant to. It's not in the script. He's not meant to kiss her, but he does kiss her. So she's very sweet, you know. She's as in writing the letters to my grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, oh, you know, she. So something started then, like a little, like something between them, but she tried to keep it quite cool. So because Sinatra was Sinatra, and then the romance did. She would then appeared on his the Frank Sinatra Timex show,
Mm-hmm.
and she appeared on that, and then something happened after that. But I'll tell you also from the letters, dating Sinatra was not for the faint-hearted because he dated multiple people at the same time, and so monogamy was not really the thing that he did,
Mm-hmm.
and Juliet kind of had to adapt to that, and she felt she was quite immature, but because she wanted to continue dating him, she adapted. She decided not to kick up a fuss or ask him too much about what happened when he was not in LA.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, and it was what was really I thought was really amusing is that Juliet eventually met someone else, but sort of was still dating Sinatra, and he got terribly upset about that.
Yeah.
So he had real double standards. What worked for him must not work for the person he's dating.
He had also had his heart broken by Ava Gardner by this point, and many of his friends said he was never the same again after that, too. You know.
Yeah, yeah. So I know that when Juliet did go on a first date with him after that kiss in Can Can, she said that he pretty much spoke about Ava Gardner the whole time. So she was aware that he wasn't over her.
Sad.
Yeah.
Now, GI Blues, was Elvis's first movie back from the army, and by that point, he had matured a lot since his earlier movies. He was no longer the hip swinging country bumpkin. He was now the mature rebel looking for love, and Juliet was like the perfect choice to play his love interest in this movie. I've always felt. Do you know if she was the first choice to play her?
I um I think she was the first choice. Sorry, I was getting mixed up with the second movie that was an Elvis movie, Hawaii, where she, yeah. Sorry, I actually now can't quite remember.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to have a quick little look and see if I can. Um, yeah. Juliet, that was a really fun movie for her to be in.
Yeah.
Um, and a fun time with Elvis as well for Juliet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, Seeing that there was a little romance that happened there as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, did she fall in love with Elvis?
I actually I've given a few talks, and so I pulled out because somebody in one of the talks was
Mm-hmm.
curious about the relationship with Elvis,
Yeah.
and she definitely. So he was only 2 years older than her,
Mm-hmm.
whereas Sinatra was 21 years older than her. So it's quite a difference. Like with around Sinatra, she's around people in their 40s, whereas she's just this young, fun-loving 24-year-old. And around Elvis, she felt like she could really just be herself and not have to sort of watch, her not necessarily watch her behavior, but she just felt more relaxed with him, and she definitely was. They had a fun little romance, but she was dating Sinatra at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I mean, some of the things that I pulled out of her letters, I'll just read. She just she she says something like, "I must tell you something, but I find very sweet. Elvis is crazy about me. He knows about Frank, but he's going to try and win me over." So it was that kind of like fun thing. But she then later in a letter says that actually she knows that she's more in love with Frank than she is in Elvis is more having sort of a fun time and a and a and actually a bit of a friendship, I'd say, because they would go to each other's dressing rooms, years later.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for example, I know that Elvis and Priscilla came back into Juliet's dressing room after her show, and in like probably 1970 or 71.
Mm-hmm.
So a full like decade after doing GI Blues, and Juliet had gone. I think when he did that's his sort of a special at the International. I think in 1969. She
Mm-hmm.
also They were that level of friends that she would then also relay, what kind of conversation she'd had with him to her mother in her letters. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I think she had a lot of fun. That was a real fun time for her, as far as um, who she was dating, and then the media attention, and how it helped her career in a way. I'd say all the attention.
Her introduction scene doing that sultry dance in that nightclub is just so captivating, and also her post breakup dance too. I mean, she was very versatile, and that in that movie she got to show it.
Yes, yes. Um, I'd say that was so. I think, I mean, in Can Can she does dance as well, but Shirley MacLaine is also a dancer in that movie. But in GI Blues, it's yeah, it's sultry. The one's sultry, the other one's fun, and I think actually quite lovely sort of movie dance scenes. Or it's yeah, I think it shows Juliet's skill, ease of her skill, shall we say,
Mm-hmm.
um, in a movie. Um, yeah, but then her real level also came out on stage, which you don't see. I have some footage that I'm putting up, so sort of haven't put it all up, but almost put all of her footage up from her shows in Vegas
Mm-hmm.
as well, to show some of her. I think that was the other thing that I wanted to. You asked me sort of why did I do this book, but they're dancers and dancers, and Juliet is sort of, when you speak to people who danced with her, they sort of are in awe of what she was able to do, and I kind of just wanted to document that. So
Right.
um, both the book and also put some of the footage which was sitting maybe on my cousin's hard drive, or try and put it on YouTube and have this sort of memory of her dancing for anyone who wants to see.
My favorite cute moment between her and Elvis is when they're walking, and she says, "I don't like ma'am," and he says, "Neither do I."
Yeah. Yeah, that was such a fun. Um, that was a fun movie, and as I said, I think a fun friendship with Elvis.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we, she in her letters, he the movie finishes, they move on, and he comes back to film something else, and
Mm-hmm.
and I just thought this was so classically Juliet. So he phones her, and then she runs over to the studio and runs to try and find him. She's that level of excited to see him.
Yeah.
Goes to makeup, goes to try and find him, and I just had like a little smile at her. Her general enthusiasm in life was really fun.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, I love when they go on the sky ride, and you can see that they're behind the screen, you know, but it's just so charming and cute. It's just that movie holds up so well, I think.
Yes, and surprisingly, I know they're still showing it. Well, when I say they're still showing it, I saw, um, some place in England was actually a cinema, shall we say, was actually showing it.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, then one of her other movies, which was far more controversial, which she did in 1965, Who Killed Teddy Bear, they also showed that recently at like a film festival in Manhattan, in New York, literally a couple of months ago. So I was
Hmm.
quite intrigued to see that as well.
Did she have a good working experience with Stuart Whitman on The Fiercest Heart?
Um, I I think she did. I mean, she certainly. I have to sort of go off her letters of what she wrote,
Hmm.
and I would say Juliet's general approach to life was be positive, be nice, work hard, don't pick fights with people. And I think that came across um, with people she worked with.
Hmm.
Um, I know she did a TV series called Mona McCluskey,
Yes.
which was in 65, 66.
Yeah.
And the director who worked on that, or the producer, I'm not quite sure which one, but his name was George Burns.
Oh, yeah.
And he said something in a newspaper article that said something like, when when Juliet gives you a hug and says, I love you, you know that she means it.
Oh,
So it's not just like an easy sort of throwaway. And I really like that he said that, because that's, I think, what everyone felt, everyone who worked with her felt. Um,
yeah.
he just had like a positive spirit. I mean, one of the things. So this is. I mean, this is early on in her career, like really early on. She's still a teenager, or like close to 20. But it just was like she's this kind of person. She was in some stage production in London. It could have been even just the pantomime,
Hmm.
because she was in Mother Goose to start with. And during intermission, she would take tea to the stage manager and a few people. She would take tea to them, and she was the principal dancer. So I read that and I thought, oh, you didn't necessarily need to do that, but she just wanted to do that, as
Yeah.
a 19 year old. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that is Juliet's character, is really just to be nice to people, even when she became, let's say, famous, and was well known. She was she would greet the doorman, and would just be very nice to people in general, and not have any airs and graces about her.
I know she looked like she was such a genuine person too.
Yes, she really was, and she actually also in the beginning, like when she was a teenager in London, she'd actually get like frustrated with people. She like one of them is he's a Sir Anton Doyle. He started a festival ballet in London, and so a very revered dancer, and she really didn't like him because he treated the company like dirt.
Hmm.
Um, uh, and she actually wrote. I remember she wrote this, and I had so with her letters, I would laugh out loud, and sometimes I would actually have a tear about what she was going through. But she said about this Sir Anton Doan, and she said, "I wish I could give him a drop dead pill."
Yeah.
That's what she felt. That's what she felt about people who treat the company like dirt. So she definitely was not going to do that.
That's hilarious. What was she on the trajectory of being a serious actress when she was making movies?
I would say her. So Uh, probably a couple of things counted against her. This was actually listed in an article. So, um, people would think about her as a dancer and not an actress, and she wasn't. She was trained as a dancer rather than having gone to drama school.
Mm-hmm.
And at some stage, I think 20th Century Fox um, uh, also felt that she had more of a British accent, even though she was she spent 14 years in South Africa. She had more of a British accent, and they wanted her to lose that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing is that they generally people felt she looked a little bit like Leslie Caron,
Yeah.
who by that stage had actually won definitely BAFTAs already. And so I think she also, so that was on the one side of like how, let's say, studios perceived her. On the other side, she loved being on stage a lot more than she loved being behind a camera. So she loved the interaction with audiences and probably the whole creative process with dancers and choreographers. I think she enjoyed that more. Though I think she would have liked to have made it slightly bigger as an actress. She
Yeah.
was disappointed when. So Mona McCluskey, they did 26 episodes, and I think the magical number was 32 episodes because then it got syndicated or
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
Yeah.
And I think she was disappointed, but the other thing that this didn't surprise me about her, but it was re-emphasized is that so she was hit with a disappointment. She just sort of said, "Okay, what next? Let's get on with it." And because she had her own company, she always created her own acts and would sometimes also go and look and see was there any um, musicals in either
Mm-hmm.
London or on Broadway that they could take to regional theatres in the US, which she did in her career as well. Would do them do. I mean, well, she was in Sweet Charity as a big role on stage in Vegas and London, but she also did that at more like in Ohio and Dallas and I'm just different places like that.
Yeah.
So while I think she would like to have done more movies, she was also sort of focusing on stage.
Yeah, I saw her do a great episode of Fantasy Island where she has an affair with her daughter's fiance who's much younger, and I just love that. I thought she did a great job, and she looked so gorgeous in it, you know, and I thought that was a really good dramatic piece.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I think that she if it had, more of it had come her way, she would love to have done more of it, I think. Um, so I'd say I'd say that in the 70s she was still had the physical body, even though it was as a dancer she was having she eventually had to have various surgeries,
Hmm.
but she focused on creating really quite dynamic acts for Vegas. And then the act was, I think, unlike today where you get a residency and you stay in Vegas for a long time.
Right.
Her act also would go to different cities around the country and also to Puerto Rico.
Hmm.
So, but sort of by the 70s, she was spending about 16 weeks in Vegas over, so maybe 4 weeks at a time for 4 times a year in Vegas. And this was another thing that surprised me or I didn't realize this, but she was on a $1 million contract in Vegas in the mid 1970s.
Hmm.
Um, and so I hadn't. She was also very open about talking about how much money she would earn in different projects. So I
Hmm.
got a sense of how well she did financially.
Did she do the play Mame on stage?
She did, and I actually saw her in that. I opened my
Wow.
book on that.
Wow.
So she did MAME as a national tour I'd say, from 1990, and
Hmm.
probably for a few years. But she also interestingly did. Um, she 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 did the holiday, let's call it 2 weeks cover for Ginger Rogers in London
Mm-hmm.
in 1969.
Yeah.
And then also did a version for Vegas in 1970.
Right.
Um, yeah, so but as a much younger man, um, and then came back to it, um, as I said, in about 1990, up until about 92, 93,
Do
she was doing main.
Do you think she would have been a better choice for the movie instead of Lucille Ball?
I think various people would say that. um, um, yeah, I don't think I think there were different comments about Lucille Ball.
Hmm.
Um, Interestingly, there was with the Sweet Charity movie that was Shirley MacLaine. There was one. I think it was a celebrity reporter. I think it was Normally Browning. I don't know if that name it means anything, but this reporter just loved Juliet. She would always report in a very positive way, and she felt that Juliet would have been better in the Sweet Charity movie than Shirley MacLaine. Um, but interestingly, Juliet, not maybe around that time, but maybe some years later, saw Liza Minnelli on stage, and she made a comment to her mother that she thought that Liza Minnelli would have been great in the Sweet Charity movie.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, everyone talks about what a disaster Mame was, and you would think it would be, a sure hit because it's Lucille Ball, but I guess her age and the timing wasn't right for it, you know?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the sense I got. I mean, I haven't done a deep dive, but I think her age or something was her comedic timing starting, or were her gag? I said I haven't done a big research on, but I realized it wasn't didn't quite work.
It didn't quite work, I mean,
Yes.
she's got great co-stars in that, Robert Preston and Bruce Davison, who I've interviewed and stuff, and um I forget, I'm blanking on who directed it. I think Gene Saks directed it, a great director. I mean, all the ingredients were there, but it didn't work.
Yes. Yes.
Your aunt was a fixture on a lot of TV game shows, Tattletales, Password, Hollywood Squares. Did she enjoy doing those?
I think she did because I talk about it in the book, the Prowse competitive spirit. So in our
Hmm.
family, we like playing games. So I think she would have seen that as a bit of fun, and she does actually. I think you can see that competitive spirit in some of those games. You know,
Hmm.
um, we as a family when we were on holiday, we had this 7 round rummy game, and it was always a lot of fun. It was it's and Juliet was amusing and fun to play games with. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, and I think when she got married, she did a couple of them with her. What was actually the first marriage was a very short marriage, but her sort of a second marriage to John McCook. They went on a couple of those shows together. Um, and I think, yeah,
Yeah,
probably enjoyed those.
that was in the days when game shows had risque and body humor. Did your aunt have a body sense of humor?
In what sense? Just explain that a bit more.
Like she was no prude. Like if someone made a sex joke or something, she would laugh.
Oh, I think that she would. I don't think she was certainly not a prude. That's she certainly. So I think she would have, yeah, like gone with the flow of whatever.
Yeah,
And as I said, she was comedic as well. So not that she would just make light or fun with lots of make things into fun, shall we say?
yeah.
Um,
She had that innocent but mischievous smile about her.
y- yes, yes. I think that was her charm. I think in that she was. there was an elegance to her, but there was also a sort of a sexy mischievousness to her.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think she played it a bit, and I think she realized that was part of her charm, as well as being a talented dancer. Being able
Yeah.
to do to actually. So this was her second last show in Vegas. The show was dedicated to dance, and really her objective was to show off her and her dancer's ability, to really make the audience see what they were able to do.
Yeah.
So I think that was also. I think at the core, she was really a dancer that wanted to just. Well, actually, one of the guys that I spoke to who was in her show in, let's say, the late 70s, he said that she had told him that, and this was like, at the, not at the end of her career, but at the end of, in the late 70s, early 80s, when she had a lot of success. But she said that she would actually live on water and crackers so long as she could dance.
Oh yeah.
So, and that made me realize, this is her first love, dancing.
Yeah. I remember once she was on a Dean Martin roast for Angie Dickinson, and she didn't get up to speak, but I'm sure she would have been hilarious if she had.
Yes, yes, she definitely would have. Because I think, am I right in thinking that Angie Dickinson, was she also one of the Rat Pack, the
Yeah.
girls that mingled around the Rat Pack? So
Yeah.
she would have known them from, the 19. She actually went to the US in 1959. The filming of Can Can was in June of 59, or June, July, or August, somewhere around there. And I think she met all different people. I know that she well, on her first day of Can Can, on the set of Can Can, she was in like a dream world of meeting all these people, and then when she became Sinatra's girlfriend, she was also going to New Year's Eve parties and meeting all the big celebrities of the day, I'd say.
Hmm. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember she was on the Muppet Show, and her scarf comes alive, and she screams. She had a really good scream. I actually think she could have done horror films with that scream.
I actually, so I mentioned this in the book.
Hmm.
That is actually quite cute, and I had actually seen that little scarf skit. Um, I want to say until fairly recently. I don't know why that sort of I didn't see it, but the dance she does, or I felt like they could have used her even more on the Muppets in a more cheeky way, in a way,
Yeah.
because it was adult sketch comedy rather than its predecessor was, it could come from what, Sesame Street.
Yeah. Now she got attacked by a couple of leopards a couple of times, right? Like, did that leave damage to her body?
Yes, but
Yeah.
not, I wouldn't say lasting damage, but I think it was the same leopard that attacked her twice, because
Oh.
she was going to be on Circus of the Stars.
Hmm.
Um, and the first time, I think it was just more like claws in her butt and maybe
Hmm.
teeth, but nothing as bad. The second time was far worse. I can't remember exactly, but stitches and
Oh.
huge pandemonium, in the um, at the rehearsals. And one of the guys I interviewed designed her costume that she was going to be wearing to do this to do this big cats act,
Hmm.
and he realized that he had these huge discs on it,
Yeah.
and that agitated the leopard. Um, and I don't know if that was the first time that the leopard had a bit of reaction. The second time the leopard had a bit of a reaction was actually on the Johnny Carson show.
Wow.
I don't really understand why. I haven't seen footage of it, but basically, Juliet said it was the lights or the mirrors or something. But the cat got agitated. The leopard got agitated.
Well,
So,
Johnny always had problems with animals on that show. Whenever he would have Jim Fowler and Joan Embry on, they would pee on him or something like that. He got punched in the mouth by a chimpanzee one time.
oh, that's funny.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
uh,
Working with wild animals, yeah, that could be pretty dangerous. But
no.
yes,
This designer I chatted to, he said when they were filming that Big Cat Act, he and Juliet's boyfriend at the time actually just couldn't watch it. They sat outside the studio and just sort of waited and prayed until the end,
yeah,
because that would have been a third time with the same leopard.
yeah. So, is the rest of the
Yeah.
family satisfied with this book?
Yes, yes. I think that we all got some insights into Juliet's life of stuff we didn't really know. And um, sadly, my dad, so my Juliet's brother,
Hmm.
died just before COVID. But my mom was around, and they lived in the US for a little bit in the '60s.
Hmm.
So she also had. She's very proud of the work that I've done in the book, and she also had little snippets of information that she would just sort of say, something like off the cuff, and then I'd realize, oh, I mean, I did read this later in Juliet's book, but for example, her first act, she actually asked Frank Sinatra's composer lyricist team of Jimmy Van Heusen and Sammy Kahn to
Hmm.
write original songs for her
Hmm.
in her first ever act that she did as Juliet Prowse. And my mom just casually mentioned that the one day, before I came to the US and found the letters. And I was like, Mom, that's actually an, you know, that's an
Hmm.
important point for me to put in the book. Um, Mainly for me to go, she believed in working with some of the best. So, and if she did, then, and she tried her best, then that's all she, that then she would produce a good act.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so yeah, the family is happy with the book, and I've shared it with her only son, my cousin Seth.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think he gained a different. He messaged me back, and when I gave it to him to read in the really rough form, and he said he's getting to know his mother more as a human rather than just as a parent.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So I was quite pleased with that.
And the book's self-published. Did you have trouble getting a publisher?
I did get an interest from two US smaller publishers.
Hmm.
Um, my main thing is that I wanted to see physical books. I wanted physical books in South Africa, and I
Hmm.
wanted to, be able to market it in South Africa. And one of them wanted global rights and didn't wouldn't. I don't know if I didn't negotiate hard enough, but I just decided I would self-publish,
Hmm.
which which was a bigger task than I realized. Not really the self-publishing part,
Hmm.
um, and then also the self-marketing part, specifically in South Africa and the US. That was more work than I realized. But
Yeah.
yeah, so um, I think publishing is an interesting. I'm a first time author, so I'm doing this all for the first time, and I guess I didn't know, should I wait longer, should I, and eventually just decided I'll just do it myself. Um, so
Are you gonna write
that's what
another
happened.
book?
I thought I was going to write another book, and
Hmm.
then as I said, the marketing part. I feel like I'll take a break from writing. Um, yeah, I'm not. I'll have to see how it goes, but it is. The book must. I think for some people, a book wants to be written by you. It wants to come out of you. The words want to come out of you, or
Right.
But this was a particular topic that I felt. passionate about and connected to, and wanted to document. So I have to find another topic
Hmm.
that I might feel the same about.
Maybe being Juliet Prowse's niece.
Oh well, what's interesting was I had a couple of book launches in South Africa, and
Mhm.
I because I was a runner. Some people they kind of asked me afterwards. They said, "Are you going to produce one which was Juliet Prowse Born to Run?" Not that I, not that I think there's as much to say about me. My aunt's life was far more interesting and amusing. It was amusing to me, her life in a way.
Hmm.
So no, I won't be writing a book about myself. That's for sure.
Okay. Do you have anything?
Yeah.
Do you have anything upcoming you can mention?
Uh, um, as far as writing.
Like, do you have like, are you doing like a little book signing tour or anything like that? Q&As or anything?
Well, I'm because I'm based in Cape Town. I'm doing still more different book talks here. So I've unfortunately not come to the US. But yeah, I've got a couple next year. I've got a few things lined up. I'm lucky enough to our university in Cape Town. I'm doing a talk with them as an extramural studies, program. So
Hmm.
yeah, but they're all basically, I'd say, in South Africa, and unfortunately not in the US.
Nice. But
It's just quite a thing to plan everything in your and when you're self-publishing, it's all yeah, it's quite an exercise. So I just had to make some decisions.
absolutely. Well, Juliet, I thank you so much for coming on today and writing this book, preserving your iconic aunt's legacy. I'm gonna buy a copy of it eventually, and I hope you have a happy holiday season and be safe out there.
But thank you so much, and thank you for getting in touch, and for also having the enthusiasm about my aunt. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely, she was a huge impact on my
Okay.
life. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye bye.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Well, there you have it. Juliet E. Prowse. Ain't she a sweetheart? Oh my God, what a great lady. She has her aunt spirit in her voice. I can just hear it. And that was a great talk. I'm gonna pick up the book, and you should as well. Born to Dance. And it's gonna be a great read. Well, until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Later, dudes!